Hey guys, and welcome to the post-flop part of this advanced MTT HUD video series. This should be significantly more fun than the pre-flop part. Just before we begin, I want to stress out one thing, and that's, I've said this before, but I think it's worth saying again, that the way I'm going to represent this is that I'm going to be very straightforward. I'm just going to show you how everything works, but please remember that HUDs are still only supposed to be a supporting tool. So you're not supposed to be making your decisions every time based on what your HUD says. That's not really even playing poker. That's like data mining and whatever. So if you want to get better at poker, just don't rely on HUDs, and it's a very bad idea to tune your game in a way that it would rely on HUDs entirely. So please take everything here with a grain of salt, in the sense that nothing here is going to make you the biggest winner at the games. You're going to have to get better at poker to be the biggest winner at the games. But there's a lot of cool stuff here, though, which is definitely going to be helpful. So having that said, I'm just going to jump straight into PostLock. So if you look at the HUD stats here, the bottom row for each of my opponents is the post-flop statistics row. We did the first two rows in the previous two parts, which is pre-flop stuff. I don't have the post-flop stuff displayed for myself. That's mainly just because, like, on a lot of softwares, this is not a whole lot of space between the betting boxes and my own screen name, especially if I multi-table and have to make the table small. So I just don't want it covering the screen for me. Like, I definitely do like to keep my own statistics showing, because it always shows your stats for that table, not your lifetime stats. So, you see your short-term image, even just like VPIP, PFR. You could definitely make a case for only having those two and the number of hands you've been there. But I just don't think that it makes any sense to have it show yourself how many times you see bet in this table over 40 hands, because it's stuff that no one really notices. So yeah, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to keep the c-bet stats and stuff like that for you in your HUD, showing for yourself. And in case you don't know how to turn this stuff off, I'm just going to show you really quickly. I have my Hold'em Manager on my other screen. So you go to this whole designer thing here. You go to Stat Appearance. This is my normal HUD. And let's say I don't want to show the PFR for myself anymore. I just uncheck this box. Uncheck this box for display for hero, and it'll disappear. I'm not going to do that though. So yeah, I would be pretty selective about which stats I'm going to show for myself when I play. But yeah, so onto the post-flop stuff we go. There's one stat that I have in my HUD that's kind of really different from everything else, and it's the most boring one. So I'm just gonna get that out of the way and then dive into the important stuff. So really quickly, if you look at the bottom row here, let's say for Riddick Craig here, the number 0 here is the donk bet. And for this guy it's 53, but he's clearly a fish. So basically, definitely a use case could be made for only putting the donk bet number in the pop-up HUD. I would not object that at all. Personally, I like to keep it. It's partially because I play a lot on French sites, and French players love to donk bet. And it is really helpful, for me at least, to easily find out how often people donk bet, but more importantly, what they do when you raise them. So, let's look at this guy, for example. He donks 53% of the time. That's just the overall donk bet. It could be multi-way, it could be heads up, it could be whatever. And the upper row here is what he does against the raise. Because very often the way it goes playing against fish is like you raise and he flats, and then he donk bets some stupid flop, and you're like, okay, what does that mean? And I think instinctively, usually people almost always raise against donk betters, regardless of what they have, because they just don't believe them, and very often they are correct. But if we look at this guy, for example, he's donk bet 4 times, it would seem, and he has folded only once and called 3 times, so it might not actually be a very good idea to bluff him when he donks bets, because apparently he's still not folding.